Okay, working on a sub 2000 by KEL-TEC. The issue I was having with it was it wasn't extracting the shells properly, so they would come partially the way out. The bolt would come back, crush the spent shell. Obviously, wouldn't properly reload and continue shooting. So I ordered a kit from KEL-TEC. It came with firing pin, spring, roll pins, trigger, hammer, and the other springs that essentially go in the gun for these trigger mechanisms. Anyway, I'm not really concerned with that today. I essentially just want to change the extractor. And so this is the business end of the bolt where the shell enters in, snaps in behind the extractor, which sets right in there. And the extractor has a pin that holds it. So you have to punch out that pin. 1/16 roll punch. Worked just great. I didn't see a lot of difference between the extractors, the new one and the old one. So I'm not sure that was the main issue. But what I did find was that the springs, when you look at them, the short spring is the one that I pulled out. The long spring is the new one. So it seems that the spring has been compressed, and most likely the extractor spring pressure is too low. I'm hoping that solves it with the new extractor. The way this came out is pretty easy. I just kind of started it on the bench off to the edge. And hold on a second here. Just took the punch, got it started in the hole. Got it in far enough on the edge of the bench to where this would hold itself in there pretty well. Held it in my hand, essentially like this, and punched it to where it was almost out. And of course, the punch takes the place of the pin, so it holds it in when you're punching. And essentially, when the pin comes out the other side, you can grab it and pull it the rest of the way, or just punch it out on a bench. Then the spring on the side here, spring sets in the bolt like so, right here. Extractor goes back in like that, and then you're gonna have to compress it, line up the hole, put the pin back in. We should have new extractor, new spring. Hopefully that will take care of the problem of not flipping the cases out as they're supposed to. So I'm going to replace this and then go out and test the gun and see if it solved the problem. Okay, to start that roll pin, what you really need to do is I just held it with some needle nose, and it tends to want to go in at an angle. Let me get this in view again. It tends to want to go in at an angle to start with because the hole it's going into is tapered off. So I just angled it in, and it takes a pretty good hit to get it started. You're almost kind of afraid to hit it that hard. But once it starts, it straightens out. Then the whole idea here is to punch it in to where it starts entering the cavity, and it's ready to accept for when you put the extractor in. It's right at the point where it's going to start entering the extractor when you get it lined up. We should be able to see a little light through the roll pin. Get the spring in there, compress it in, punch the pin through, good to go. Okay, I was able to compress the spring using these pliers. Get it down in far enough and then tap the roll pin in to put pressure on the side of it. And I was able to finagle it into position and finish punching the roll pin. But this extractor sits down in that groove. It's not flush with it. So when you're compressing it, you actually have to compress it further than the outer edge. So you need to be able to get enough of an angle to push in inside that groove. Okay, reassembly went well, and the extractor changeout worked. Ran 10 quick rounds through it. Everything flew out just like they should. So I don't think the spring had anything to do with it really, because after I compressed it a couple times putting the extractor in, it was the same length as the old one. So it just comes a little stretched and compresses immediately. But I just wanted to clarify, this was a used gun when I got it. Don't know how many rounds went through it. Kind of wish I did, that way I'd know basically what the extractor can handle. I haven't really seen much on the internet of other people having those issues. So I'll just assume that they put a lot of rounds through it. And the parts were available at the time, even when the guns weren't, because it's, a few years ago they weren't. But now just to take it out and see if I can dial it in and how accurate the gun is. As to whether I'll keep it long term or not. I like it in general. 9mm is cheap to reload, so I'll get a couple hundred of those reloaded for it, and next time we go shooting we'll try it out.